Ladies and gentlemen, this RedGamer.com video. My name's Paul, and we're going to be going through the differences between Call of Duty Advanced Warfare on the PlayStation 4 versus the Xbox One. This is also an article which not only contains a high bitrate video where you can download it, and which obviously has very little compression compared to YouTube, but also a lot of screenshots and a lot more text besides, which goes into more detail than what I possibly can in this video. So starting things out, we will be going into a frame rate analysis in the next few days, but put a lot of work into the graphics thing first, so wanted to kind of finish that first. So the Xbox One versus PlayStation 4 actually is pretty close. There is a major difference between both platforms in the Xbox One's resolution. Now, it renders at a couple of different resolutions based on engine load. So because the title does try to push at 60 FPS, what you'll find is that means that each frame of animation typically, assuming it can maintain 60 FPS, only has 16.67 ms to render. So what you'll find is the Xbox One's resolution, it does differ depending on engine load. It can be all the way from 1360 by 1080, which is pretty much the minimum, all the way to full 1080p, which of course is 1920 by 1080. This is a higher resolution, the 1360 by 1080, than 900p, but it is definitely a slightly PR number. I have to say that overall, however, FXAA, which is being used as a anti-aliasing technique on both machines, does a fairly reasonable job in some instances, but in others you can definitely see fairly obvious and ugly jaggers. Fortunately, the Xbox One's black values are not too bad at all. Now, in a lot of Xbox One titles, it does suffer from black crush, or basically crushed black, should I say. The Xbox One does have some oddities when it comes to the default gamma values, and basically when I was recording, first thing we noticed was, hey, this doesn't look quite right, and we had to actually bump up the gamma values by about 4 notches for the versions to compare. I'd actually recorded the PS4 version first simply because it's plugged in. Nudging up 4 notches, however, does fix the problem. 4 to 5, depending on your setup, is probably the way you want to go. More than that, however, and you'll start to basically blow out the blacks, which is not an ideal situation. If you want more information, it is in the article. So overall, texture quality, shadows, and many of the other basic models and details in the game are pretty much interchangeable. There is ever so slight differences you're probably going to notice at the distance, very long distances, but some of that is down to dynamic resolution. And what you're probably going to find is that overall, particularly objects that are close, you're not really going to be able to tell the differences between them at all, in my personal opinion anyway. Foliage, grass, characters, even down to the water bottles, all basically use the same textures, and it's a hell of a major improvement over, say, Call of Duty Ghosts. Overall, I'm actually pretty impressed with both the online element of the games on both systems as well as the campaign. So you're basically down to this situation where do you want the better PlayStation 4 resolution, or do you want the better Xbox One frame rate? For multiplayer component, it's probably really going to come down, not down to the performance, but more which system do you prefer to play on online, to be honest, because the online component on both games does perform very similarly. The maps have definitely been altered to take full advantage of the systems and their limited GPU performance, therefore frame rates are definitely more robust than single player campaigns, and are much more likely to stick in the 60 FPS mark, which is obviously what you want. You don't want additional input latency on top of, say, game latency to really screw you over. Generally speaking, personally, I think that both versions are very interchangeable. There is the resolution difference, but this can easily be offset by other preferences, such as your controller preference, your desire to play online with certain demographic of friends, and of course, we must congratulate Sledgehammer for a pretty good job overall on all systems. With that said, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. As I said, check out the article if you need more in-depth comparison, and I'll see you soon. Take care, and bye for now.